Hello and welcome to the Blizzard Arena here in Burbank, California. Yes, that's right. Good to have a live audience here with us today. It is day 3 of the group stage for the HGC 2018 Finals. This is it. All of it on the line. 2 days down, 2 more to go. The first 2 days have been extremely exciting, but we're starting to see some teams settle into their positions in terms of who will claim a spot on next week's BlizzCon stage. I got a quick flash for you on where we're standing there. Currently below the cutoff line on Group A, BTG from China and Luna Meow from Taiwan. On the bubble there as well in Group A, Tempo Storm from North America. Shifting over to Group B, below the line currently, Leftovers from EU. In fact, we know their fate is sealed. They will not be able to attend next week's BlizzCon due to the games that remain. Mindfreak from Australia as well below the line. And then on the bubble there in Group B, the one from China. Some of these teams have an opportunity to still fight back. It's an incredibly steep climb though, however. We got a lot of great games for you today and tomorrow, so stick around. Here to give you all the action, Gillyweed and our expert analysts over at the desk.
Thank you, Kevin. As he said, we are over halfway done with the group stage of the HGC Finals at BlizzCon here at opening week at the Blizzard Arena, but there's still a lot to be decided. We're still figuring out who is going to be seated where, which is oh so important because it's single elimination once we get to the bracket stage. I am JC Gillyweed Gluck, and I have been hosting the analyst desk and will continue to do so. I've got Trixler and Tetcher here to bring us the first match. Trick, Team Liquid yesterday started to really come into their own.
Finally, gosh, we needed that. We needed Team Liquid to get some major wins at our offline event. They finally pulled through. We got to meet Arcaner's parents. It was a great couple of days there for Team Liquid.
We got to be Arcaner's parents.
We got to be Arcaner's parents.
We were all Arcaner's parents.
He's got a huge family, you know. Family time in December is gonna be a lot of presents going around. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. He deserves it. He played phenomenally yesterday. That Li Ming, oof. Do not want to deal with that. Tetcher, though, the one, you've got to be so proud of them.
I am very proud of the one, even though there's still a chance they might not make it out of the group, depending on the performance of Mindfreak today and tomorrow. I am still so proud. It's the best a Chinese team has performed in such a long time, so I am so hyped for that.
Yeah, you got any more of those sweet bracelets?
I don't know where they are. We need to find their manager.
We got to get some. You know, the one has been doing so well. They've been bringing out some really cool meta picks. Trick, is it time to bring back Dragon Strike? Maybe try to get a win with that.
Come on, it's morning. We don't want to start with the Dragon Strike conversation. It gets me tilted. It's going to be a bad day. Stay away from the Dragon Strike, but do everything else. Because for that one negative, they have done 20 positives. I'm loving what the one is bringing, and I actually hope they make it through group stage. I want to see them on the big stage at BlizzCon next week.
Well, we'll talk about it, but they're very close. Like, it's a far shot that they wouldn't make it, and I agree. I think they truly epitomize what we love from Chinese heroes and have been able to really bring it kind of like E-Star did. But let's talk about first place prize, because Team Dignitas yesterday started to prove that this might be the time for them. $500,000 first place prize out of the $1 million total prize pool. And as I said before, guys, Team Dignitas, sometimes they ramp up at tournaments, but this tournament, they have come in, they made sure that they were fully warmed up, and you can tell that they have put that work in.
Yeah, they really have. That was a focus for them since the MSB, when it was a major talking point for us, where they had that first major loss in the first week at the MSB. So they have made sure to be prepared and to continue to deliver at the level that they know that they are capable of. First off, you got a big tournament, you got money coming towards you, but second off, it's JPL's last tournament. They want to make a big statement.
Yeah, this is it. And the group stage, that's what we're in the middle of. Top 4 from each group. They go in seeded into the single elimination bracket stage. And then from there, we will start to see who is making it up to that first place prize. And talking about the groups and seeding within that, the curious question now is Gen.G going to struggle? Because Miracle, they haven't lost anything yet, Tetcher.
They haven't lost anything, and they also haven't lost to Gen.G this season. They beat them both times they went up against them, and as such, Miracle currently sit at the top of the table, but Gen.G could be looking for revenge. They still have to play them. That will be tomorrow, I believe, so we have that exciting game to look forward to. But right now, Miracle are looking pretty, and that can create chaos when we get to the bracket stage.
So, as I said before, we're still talking about seeding, but what I can tell you is that Group A is locked. Miracle, Gen.G, Team Liquid, Tempo Storm will be going to BlizzCon. Group B, the one and Mindfreak are the only ones left that can switch, but Mindfreak needs to 2-0 both their matches left. And a little fact for you in case you missed it yesterday, they play Leftovers, and then they play Dignitas, and they have to 2-0 both of them.
I mean, in theory, just out of honor sake, if we look back at Group A as well, if Luna Meow 2-0 their next 2 matches, one of which is against Gen.G, they could, in theory, get 6 points and tie with Tempo Storm if they don't win their match, but it is still points-wise, it's looking pretty good for them.
Here is the schedule for today. The first 4 matches, we have 6 best-of-2s. Guys, which matches have you jazzed? Trick?
Oh, that is a hard one to answer. There's 3 immediately that I look at. I think this first one's probably going to be a pretty easy win for Gen.G. Luna Meow just isn't quite at the level that I need them to be at to actually compete against some of the best from Korea. But you look over at Tempestorm Miracle, that's going to be an exciting one if Tempestorm can decide to stop drafting Uther. Miracle has been a fantastic tournament for them so far, as they have not dropped a single map. So if Tempestorm can bring the fight to them, that'll be exciting to watch.
What about you, Toucher?
I'm also completely on board with Tempestorm versus Miracle, and of course, the 4th game of the day, the Dignitas versus Tempest match, is basically going to decide who goes out of Group A in first place, depending on the performance of Heroes Hearth.
Yeah, and that's a rematch of a very important match at the midseason brawl. It's what allowed Team Dignitas to go to the grand finals, because they did knock down Tempest when it felt like Tempest finally had their tournament. We haven't been talking about them too much, but they have been speeding up despite losing 1 game to the 1. I am looking forward to Heroes Hearth Esports versus the 1. It's going to be the last match of the day. Heroes Hearth has been doing a great job in Group B, and you've heard us so much about the 1. They really are making all of us excited to watch them play. And, you know, part of that is that they are bringing in their own meta. And we want to talk a little bit about the tournament meta and what's been happening so far. Tyrande and Gen.G might have the highest involved heroes. They're all 100% involvement, but Tyrande passed that, a 75% win rate. That's only gone up since day 1. To see the most picked hero and that high of involvement with that high of win rate shows just how strong she is.
Yeah, definitely getting some stats out of that. It's a snapshot for the moment, but it's a trend that we're probably going to have follow all the way up to next week in BlizzCon. Tyrande right now just fits so well. Her rework at first, a little disappointed. We lost the owl build, you know, sniping people across the map, but what we got was an exchange to make her a better team player. She brings in the heals now, and she now is not someone that you feel like you have too much of a loss if you pick her. In the past, if you picked her, you were going for kill comps, and if you didn't get kills, typically you were going to lose the game. Now you have the healing to back that up, and she feels very natural in a lot of the compositions that we've had in Heroes of the Storm.
Toucher, have there been any heroes that have surprised you so far in this tournament?
Seeing the lack of priority onto Yrel on day number 1 was quite surprising to me. She's sort of picked up pace a little bit more now the tournament has moved on. But seeing that kind of slow rise was very interesting for me. And seeing how a lot of the solo laners have stretched out from what used to be like just the Blaze Yrel solo lane back in the day.
A big conversation that we've been having is tank and warrior priority, and Diablo is sitting at 26% win rate. He is still the highest involved or highest picked. You have to keep in mind that Garrosh has been banned so much. His involvement actually is quite higher, and his win rate's higher too. But we've seen things like Tyrael start to come in. We've seen some more Anubarax. Where do you guys see this trend continuing to go, given that kind of information?
I think Tyrael always is a repeat at offline events. He just shows up. It feels so much nicer to have that Aldruin available, that Sanctification actually respond to, not have to deal with the pain of it getting stunned out and suddenly not being able to fight for 10 seconds. So Tyrael is a natural fit. But I'm actually more curious to see when we get more Anubarax, especially from the Eastern meta. Anubarax was such a major factor for a lot of teams trying to qualify to this tournament, and we haven't had him as much. I expect as we get towards the late stages of the tournament and you need to get those kills and you need to dive someone, Anubarax can start popping up way more. Well,
Anub sort of fell off in China, though it was played a ton at the beginning of the part.
Once again, in China, they like their aggression, as we have seen so far, and as such, Anubarax can be a hero who can struggle if you're not the team being aggressive, as he's one of the more squishier tanks. It's the same issue with ETC.
Yeah.
If he's on the aggressive, he can be dominant. When he's on the defensive, he is a target, and this is why we've seen it to fall off. But the one we saw them earlier, double isolation comp, when they feel in control, they can make it work. But otherwise, those tankier tanks have fit the Chinese meta a little bit more. But like you said, the Anubarax, he's definitely jumping up.
I'm loving that we get Tyrael back. I feel like we just have to say hashtag thank you Korea for that one, because they always are the ones, it feels like, are the ones that get that trend started, then everyone else tries to bring him in. But he really does suit their playstyle well. And we do have a Korean team who's going to be in the first match. We've got Luna Meow versus Gen.G. Top of the group, or actually not quite the top of the group, but close to, versus what seems to be one of the bottom 2 teams of the group. We still have yet to have BTG and Luna Meow. So let's start talking about Luna Meow, because this team, for Kim, this is a big match for him. Kim recently switched over, made a role swap onto the tank role, and he said he looked up to tanks like Tist from Gen.G, Hooligan from Ballistics when he was looking to make make that transition. How do you feel like that transition's been going for them so far?
It's great that he looks up to the Korean teams when he's wanting to learn his tank play, but my main issue is it's not there yet. I mean, you're looking at somebody, you're looking up to them, and when you are typically looking up to opposing teams in a national tournament, that means you're playing from behind, and typically you're playing scared. And it is very prevalent when you're watching this team. When it comes to engages, in situations where if they would just turn around and make a snap kill, they could walk away, but you see them all back up as a unit of 3 or 4, and Gen.G, they're a shark in the water. They're going to take you out if they see that hesitance from you.
There are some good things about what we've seen from Luna Meow's play so far, and that's the adjustments that it's very clear they're making. Things like allowing Medivh through, and then after Medivh slaughtering them, saying no more, we will not allow this. And even things like one game versus Team Liquid, they didn't take fights, right? Next game, you see them being willing to take those kinds of fights, even though they are behind.
It's one of the biggest stories of this event, the flexibility we're starting to see creep in from those not 4 main region teams here, with Luna Meow and Mindfreak both coming in, and they've definitely managed to mix up their play from the old, we're just going to teamfight style we would have seen last year. And it's been great to see, like you said, they're definitely mixing it up a bit.
Well, their opponents are formidable. That's the best way to describe them. Titans, Colossus, I don't even know. There's so many different ways to describe that they win pretty much everything, Gen.G. And we asked them, you know, why are you guys so strong? How have you been able to stay at the top for so long? And Rich said, and gave thanks to his sponsor, Gen.G, because he feels like they are very supportive of them. Noblesse, we've talked about him and what he brings to the team. And then past that, because they live together, they're always together, they can give feedback to each other and be sincere about that and know that everyone has the best interest of the team at heart.
And also another part too is when they have role swaps. They've had multiple role swaps in their tenure as a team together, and they enjoy that because it allows them to look at the different side of the game. And we've had Kyojo all over the place right now. He's running that flex in the top lane, but they're willing to switch things up because they want to push the knowledge and the strength they have in this game. Now, the one thing that I'm actually a little bit scared for on Luna Meow, when you look at Gen.G and round robin, typically they have one loss that usually happens, and that one loss has already happened. It was against Team Liquid.
It was.
Yeah. So Gen.G has had their typical one, oops, we made a mistake, and then they go full hardcore into the rest of the group.
There's also one thing I'm a little bit scared about, is that when Gen.G plays versus an opponent they think is an easy win, they start bringing out some of the fun strategies and go ham. Rich's Alarak, anyone?
Yes.
We did see it yesterday, in fact, in the on Blizz Heroes 2, the off-game streams, and yeah, went about as well as you expected. He absolutely dominated with it, but this is not all they bring out. They are happy to go with this experimental draft. They're happy to go for rush comps if they need to run it down if they feel like they can.
They even will role swap sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they have no problem making sure that if it's a fun match, keep to that. Have fun to make sure that, you know, it's not all serious. You're not showing a lot of strategies.
With that, though, Luna Meow should hopefully try to bank on that. Okay, if they're going to troll around and goof around like we know Gen.G does because they are that good, maybe that's our one hope to get a one win here. Because if you're a Luna Meow, realistically, you look at the series and go, maybe we can get a win. Maybe. And if we can learn from that, if we can take a couple points, that's a great, huge moment for us. We can take that and kind of grow a little bit and have a couple of great matches the next couple of days. So I hope that we actually get that from Gen.G, and that's where Luna Meow can try to pounce and maybe surprise them with their own picks, like their Alarax, their Li Mings, even an Abathur.
Well, let's look at the Battleground pool and see where we're going. Bans were on Brax's Holdout and Cursed Hollow. We're going to Battlefield of Eternity, chosen by Luna Meow. We were talking about this at the desk. It's been a discussion topic before. When do you pick Battlefield versus a Korean team? It's always risky, but maybe it'll pay off for Luna Meow because some of their heroes are so strong here.
They have 3 heroes in particular that stand out to me that they've shown in the past that can do well in this Battleground. They have a Kerosene, they have an Alarak, and they also have a Li Ming. All 3 of those can be played in some form, some fashion when it comes to competition on this Battleground. But, as Gilly mentioned, taking Gen.G to BOE feels like a death sentence in most cases.
High priority heroes between the 2 of them, Diablo, Raynor. Both of these teams also are more willing to play Whitemane, which has been kind of curious for me, which teams are and aren't willing to play that. And her lack of priority, I guess, is pretty surprising to me in this tournament so far.
It is interesting. We have been seeing a lot of Decade, a lot of Tyrande, just in general, that sort of back and forth system. The rotations, but like you said, it's been more focused on the other 2, and then maybe mixing it up with, say, the Uther as a main tank and the Brightwing we've seen a little bit. It seems to be, Whitemane seems to be the 3rd string in that top 3 rotation of supports at the moment, and surprisingly, Hanzo is not picked up first on Battlefield of Eternity by Gen.G, choosing instead to go for the Genji.
But when the Genji is locked in by Gen.G, suddenly you are thinking twice about, okay, do I want to go into Hanzo?
Yeah.
Yes, it gives me the Immortal race, but already Gen.G is saying they want to bring the fight to us. And Hanzo, if you don't have enough production and you have enough teamwork, that is, he is going to fall quickly to that Genji.
They're going to do it anyway. Hanzo and Tyrande, both of them could fall victim to whoever ends up being on Genji, whether it's Rich trying to make the flashy plays or Reset, both of them can.
It's given them a lot of crowd control as well, but they need someone to set up for that. Tyrande's not going to land a Lunar Flare on Genji without a setup. That Dragon Arrow might catch Genji if they're lucky and if they aim correctly. But a good setup would be nice, but here we're seeing a good amount of peeling, a good amount of engage and hard engage potential for Gen.G themselves, bringing out the Thrall, potential Thundering, and of course that Anubarak we were just mentioning.
We were discussing the Anubarak, and we were talking about when Anubarak is strong is when you have that snap decision to pick a target and destroy them. And you already are set up with a foundation to delete one target between that Ancestral Wrath, the level 7 for Thrall, and the Genji damage, of course, you built into that E build. You are going to delete anyone, and then, of course, post level 10, you just make sure it's a nice little 5v4. Gen.G is looking to play with their food here, and you can really tell already in the draft.
Well, there was a Li Ming ban signifying that Luna Meow believed that Kyocha would be playing that Thrall and then looking for a double reset beyond that. And though I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility, usually so far when Thrall's been played by Gen.G, it's played by Rich, I believe, and then past that they still get someone else who's tanky. I expect something like an additional tanky hero for Kyocha as a way of trying to help. Maybe that Uriel comes in there as a way of giving armor to Anubarak to help him through it if he did struggle with any damage, like with the Lunar Flare and beyond that from Luna Meow.
That was a very prevalent strategy at the Eastern Clash. The Sergeant Hammer coming out, but we need a front line. What are we getting here? It's going to be ETC. I was kind of wondering about a Muradin. ETC does give you a little bit more peel, but a Muradin would have given you setup for that Tyrande.
Muradin's also what they have leaned on a lot during their Horizon Clash against Mermaid, their finals opponents. But in this case, in this tournament so far, this is the first time Luna Meow will not be playing Diablo, as it was the first ban, one of the first two bans of Gen.G, so already forcing Luna Meow away from their comfort zone. But we already mentioned, ETC, if he can get his aggression, if he can get his setup, there is a lot of burst on the side of Luna Meow, and that could be a big punishment for any of this lineup of Gen.G, even Anubarak, due to being a slightly lower hit point tank.
Man, pretty much anyone can set up for Genji to get in and get the job done. You've got Drag, you've got Karazim diving in along with Genji, you've got the Root of Thrall, and then Anubarak. What's going to stop it? There is Arthas to try to slow things down from Luna Meow, but I don't know if that's going to be enough.
I would say no. Honestly, I mean, look at this, and yes, you have the Sergeant Hammer factor, but Sergeant Hammer requires a slow, disciplined approach to this Battleground, and you need to say, okay, we control this area, and we're confident about this area, and that's what I'm missing from Luna Meow. I miss confidence when it comes to international tournament. It's weird, when you look at them in their own region, they have those moments of like, okay, we are the top dogs here, but they feel like a small chihuahua when they come to international events. They never bite, they never move in, they bark a lot, and that's what's really frustrating for them as a team, and I think Gen.G is going to prey on that.
I love Luna Meow's draft as a Hero League draft. If they were just going in and just saying, we're just going to group up as 4, get a little bit of split so can just blow up people. That's exactly what this draft is meant for. But you're against Gen.G here with so many escapes, with the Burrow Charge, with the escapes of Genji, with the potential Cleansing Touch late game of Karazim. There are so many protection forms for Gen.G. I have concerns that Luna Meow will be able to execute this.
I feel like there are tools for Luna Meow to punish if there's overextensions. And I think there could be overextensions with the draft that we see from Gen.G and how we assume they're going to be playing it, right? Like, let's be honest, they're going to just try to steamroll this. It's Battlefield of Eternity. They've got the kind of draft to do that. I feel like there are punishing things. You know, ETC power slides on Immortals and around the stuns there could be useful. You've got Dragon's Arrow, you've got Lunar Flare, there's Stunlock, there's Arthas. But if that starts happening even a little bit, I really feel like Gen.G is just going to clean things up. It's a test of skill, guys, right? Like, in the end, it's got to be Gen.G.
You're sitting here and you're hoping that Gen.G, for Gen.G here, it gets a little bit too high feet. Oversteps a little bit, gets picked off, and you take that moment with your Hanzo, you step up at that level 7, and you clear out an Immortal, and you say, okay, this is our moment.
Right.
Break down forts, try to get an experience lead, and hope that you can punish them, because really, that's what it's all coming down to.
Let's head over to Wolf and Skimmy as they break down Game 1 between Gen.G and Luna Meow.
That's right, guys. Gen.G get Genji Wolf, and you know, if that's not a tongue twister, I'm not too sure how this game's going to fare for Luna Meow as well.
It's not going to be an easy one. This game I expect will probably be a sub 10-minute game. But what's exciting about this game to me is Gen.G's run so much Sergeant Hammer, so much defend the Sergeant Hammer. Usually with the Tyrael, they ban the Tyrael in this case, but now we get to see Gen.G dismantle a Sergeant Hammer comp, and they've got pure dive, so it's kind of the other side of the coin for this squad in terms of what we've seen from the group stage thus far.
Yeah, and I mean, Luna Meow going to be looking to try and take down at least a few kills to try and get themselves on that scoreboard, but let's bring up those two teams right now. Kicking off day number 3.
That's right, starting with Sake on the Karazim, Kyocha on the Tahaka, Rich on Thrall, Reset on Genji, looking for those resets, his namesake, and Tist on the Anubarak, the defending champions, Gen.G.
And on the right-hand side, rocking the red colors, it is none other than Luna Meow with Bowie 005 playing the Hanzo, Virgil on Arthas, Kim on ETC, Baked Cheese on Tarunda, and Immortal playing the Sergeant Hammer. So right off the bat there, we have both of the best abilities to connect with that Immortal, with that Tarunda and the Hanzo. But Gen.G say, look, we don't even care about the Immortal, we just want to fight. And that's already been taking place here, 20 seconds in.
Yeah, Reset does end up getting caught here, and in fact it's already used a Swift Strike. First blood will go to Luna Meow. I know a lot of people are thinking, okay, Gods may be losing some red blood cells here, but let's talk about that rotation. That was clearly a attempted pick onto the Hanzo, and it failed. Well, meanwhile, they cleaned them up in the end, but you know, that was a little bit of fan service there, I think. Gen.G was just saying, look, no matter what, we could just walk into your base and kill you. It backfired a little bit. Well, they're not going to take too much of a hit from this.
Let's see Rich go for the Crash Lightning. We've seen a bit of a variation, a bit of a 50 split as to whether or not you want that 4-man rotation for the damage, or if you want the Echo of Elements. He is going to have the 4-man on top to try and get those stacks across, but so far Gen.G are getting a sizable push in the bottom lane by taking down one tower.
Well, I mean, this is actually a mismatchup in terms of laning for Luna Meow. I think this is a mistake. They are going to get the very, very low health Thrall in the top lane. Rich goes down to, you know, 10% health, but the damage on the bot lane here is more significant. Like, this is a terrible mismatch, 2v4 down here. And Thrall is also getting Crash Lightning stacks in this lane swap. So Luna Meow has tried to lane swap Gen.G and get small advantages, but they're actually losing out. Look at the damage done here compared to the top. I mean, even with Sergeant Hammer, this is just not enough. Yeah, and they're providing so much benefit, as you already mentioned there, for the Crash Lightning. Those stacks will be climbing up very, very quickly. The saving grace, quite honestly, though, the Wolf is for Bowie. He's actually picked up 14 stacks on that level 1 quest, so he's definitely going to be looking for that power spike very early on into this game. Yeah, that's certainly going to be nice for him, as Reset will clear that healing well. But as we head into this engage here, look at this. There's not enough heal here. The minion wave is too much. That's going to be a kill here. Bowie is going to have to retreat. But yeah, the minion wave here means the fort is irrelevant. Now it's dead, and Virgil needs to get back. Sake commits in, but I think they are going to be able to get away safely. Just look how aggressive this 4-man squad is from the side of Gen.G. The Anubarak, the engagement potential, and just how mobile and ready to force those fights both Reset and Sake are. And this is a namesake really for Sake. He loves to play that Karazim. He's brought it out so much. And definitely when there's a meta revolving around the likes of a Deca Cannon and Malfurion, he always reverts back to this. He certainly does, and it's very powerful in terms of dive comps. Gen.G doesn't really run dive anymore. That's not their. That's actually no longer their identity. They play a more passive style. It took a lot of time for them to evolve, and I think the main reason why they're so good at that more passive style now is because Kyocha is actually the offlaner and Rich is a ranged DPS, so it suits them a little bit better that way for passivity. But, you know, in this match, obviously that's kind of turned on its head, where we do have this extremely dive-oriented composition. Now, in terms of the Immortal race, these compositions favor Luna Meow. They have the Hanzo, they have the Sergeant Hammer, but they need to be able to deal with the follow-up dive. So far, good position here. Tough for Gen.G to find an angle to crack through this. 50-50 on that Immortal race, despite the advantages that Luna Meow have when it comes to the Immortal race. But that's going to be engaged right there before the Unstoppable can even come across. Is Immortal going to be able to get away? Reset with the Swift Strike,
and the connection there for the kill, but the fight still continues. The reset, looking for one, looking for two. He gets it. He jumps away with that cyber agility, and the fight continues.
Reset waited so long to use a Swift Strike after the reset because he wanted to guarantee that second kill. He's got another one here too. He wants to use it to get more. Dives in there just to make sure he can guarantee that kill, but he wanted. You could see he was holding it because he wanted to actually perhaps chase in the bot lane after that kill went off. So just showing the greed here in terms of Gen.G was not willing to say, okay, we traded up here. They wanted to get the full wipe. Luna Meow do escape bottom, deal with that pressure from the minion wave and the shaman camp. Finally clean it up. The keep wall is damaged as the first immortal spawns. Gen.G with a massive advantage in this game in terms of experience. And Luna Meow, this composition is supposed to control the objective. It's supposed to do damage in lane and hit the towers, but they're just unable to do it.
This is like a textbook example of, you know, the two different styles of play that both teams will have to adapt to when you play a map like this. Especially in that first rotation, if the Tyrande and the Hanzo are available, you are most certainly guaranteed to be picking it up. Gen.G said, no, we're going to go for the Genji. We want the engagement potential. We feel like we are the better team from a mechanical standpoint. And you saw what they did. Yeah, you can sit back and let Sergeant Hammer, Hanzo, and Tyrande do their work. But then Gen.G are like, we want to force fights. And boy, did they.
Yeah, I mean, that lane mismatch in the early game certainly didn't do Luna Meow any favors either. So they got a free fort. Now they get the second fort down. So we're just seeing Sake tease them with that jump in. Those resets positioning here, he's ready to jump over the wall as soon as a member gets low with Sake. Missing the power slide here is Kim. But they're looking for just threatening Luna Meow's position, forcing them to head backwards a little bit. That allows Gen.G to continue to push forward as the Immortal knocks this wall down. I don't think they can really push forward any further than this. But you can see they're very close to 10 now, and they absolutely will have that advantage as we head into the next Immortal phase.
During that siege there, Rich's Frau, he actually completed a level 4 quest, Frost Wolf Pack. So that Feral Spirit, the engagement potential, reducing their cooldown as well as the mana cost. That just means they can be even more aggressive. And, you know, certainly from what we saw there before, yeah, they have a death pool squad.
Well, Luna Meow has identified that there are a few members missing down here in the bottom lane, so they know that the top camp's being taken. So they want to actually invade, deny this second camp, and actually guarantee at least they get one of the two camps and take a fight before 10 with a numbers advantage. The rotation down from Sake is coming over. He hearthed home, and Dahaka is a global, so this is still risky for Luna Meow as 10 is right around the corner. In fact, they are actually just going to leave here after taking that camp. They're not going to continue to push the envelope.
Knows the positioning here of Test. He knows the rotation that's going to come on through. They have to respond to that top lane, but Test is ready to force that fight. Level 10 is now online. Dragon Blade is the choice. Follow that up with the Sundering. So the engagement potential we discuss, the packing of the punch, especially now accentuated by the fact you have a 7-sided strike.
Yeah, I mean, this is insane. I think X-Strike probably would have been better here, but I don't think better is what Gen.G is looking for. I think they're looking for flashy or the engage, and you can see that because they have 10, they could just walk up to this keep wall, finish it off. It was damaged earlier by that shaman camp. And of course, as Luna Meow rotates down, they leave, but there's no way Luna Meow could safely soak for 10 before the Immortal spawns. So now Gen.G can leave Sake to attack the Immortal solo while defending 4v5 because of that heroic advantage.
And put you in a bit of a situation right now where despite you having 3 fantastic heroes that can try and control this Immortal race, because you are at that disadvantage when it comes to levels and all importantly those heroics, you actually can't put up too much of a fight, and we can see that so far with this first half.
Rich is in such a good position too. If they try to come through this choke, he can sunder all of them. So they need to be careful about coming through this area. There's the collapse onto Kim. He's the first target here. Lunar Flare does not connect. Need to be careful about coming through this choke. Again, halftime is finished. Gen.G going to disengage. They were fighting basically 3v5 there in that trade, so ended up losing a decent amount of health. But now there's collapse on this Immortal. They're going to get about an 80% shield. And this is very likely the push to win the game. And, you know, you don't see this in traditional standard competitive play with a mismatch of compositions that's this terrible for Luna Meow on top of the heroic advantage, the shaman camp that's now pushing. Gen.G is going to look for a fight to get a team wipe and end this game before 10 minutes.
It's a situation where, I mean, we were discussing during the draft, do Gen.G pick up the Sylvanas? I mean, quite honestly, if the Arthas from Luna Meow was here on the side of Gen.G instead of that Dahaka, you'd be going Syndra Ghost at
Oh, you absolutely would. That's such a good point. I mean, if that had been the choice, you just deactivate this keep and go full dive. The Anubarak will serve a similar function. Sure, it can't deactivate the keep, but it does give you that extra engage potential because the Immortal is going to be tanking that aggro from the keep. Here's the first root. Coaches going in, collapses onto Buoy. He does disengage. Now the next target is moved over to Immortal. A nice disengage here from Luna Meow, but once this keep is down, the core is up for grabs. Buoy in trouble.
Reset so damn low. The Sundering comes across the trail and provide him some form of relief, but it's not going to be enough. It's a 1-for-1 trade. But regardless, Gen.G still are advancing towards this core. The shield on that Immortal is still there. They have heroics though, so what can they do with that? Mosh Pit is available. Army the Dead and the Dragon's Arrow. 7-side strike comes across as the Cocoon lands on towards Arthas, and that secures their second kill.
They just chain CC'd him so he couldn't Mosh Pit there. Then he was caught solo in the 7-sided strike. Baked Cheese is going to be the next to go down. His cheeks got baked in that engage, that's for sure. And Gen.G is going to take game number 1, 8 kills to 2 in a 9.5-minute game. Nothing surprising about this one. Sure, we saw 2 deaths on reset that game. The first was the overextension in the level 1 fight. The second one there is a little bit of a deep dive onto Buoy, showing that gods can, in fact, occasionally leave their house without their wallet and then come home and then have to pick it up again and then go back to finish the core. But no, I feel like Gen.G is just showcasing the opposite of what they've shown all tournament long, showing a little bit more flashy, more dive-oriented style, reminding the world that hard engage is how they made a name for themselves the first few years of this team's existence. In this group stage, it's been passive play, the Sergeant Hammer, the very choking play style that they've been running. But in this case, nope, they played against the Hammer and they crushed it.
They granted their opponent every top-tier pick and said, hey, this is what we can do when we are a far greater team on a mechanical forefront. But that's it for us for game number 1. We're going to throw it back over to the desk.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, Gen.G just walked in, punched their time card, put their lunchbox away, and then just got down to business. That was just doing work on Battlefield of Eternity. Another day at the office for Gen.G.
I mean, Reset did give us hope with his int at the very beginning. We just dived in and died. I was like, hey, wait a minute. This is something Luna Meow can maybe pull off, but then the rest happened, and not so much anymore.
Yeah, and then it was 10 minutes of brutality. Tetcher, anything to add on that game?
Nope, that was seriously just was a classic Gen.G game. They were able to put on quite the show. They had a little bit of fun, and then they were like, okay, this is serious. We are still technically behind Miracle, and just ended the game. Simple as.
Yeah, shout-outs, though, to Luna Meow, because like I said before, the things that we were hoping from them is that they recognize situations where they've already fallen behind and they need to make risky engagements. Right before 10, they went out, they got a camp, but Gen.G gave them nothing there.
Honestly, additional thoughts there. Going into the first Immortal phase, when they were on the first halftime show and they were running the Arthas and ETC as a cover for the Sergeant Hammer, they were actually doing pretty all right. And then you saw the weakness of an ETC and how he has to be very confident in how he wants to go for his engages or even sit and disengage the entire time, and he got blown up completely. If we had a different tank there, maybe a Murden, something that allows you to have a couple more mistakes or take a little bit more damage, I could have seen them playing a little bit better. So this double tank composition they're trying to run, I think is probably their best bet to get some kind of control on Gen.G.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we saw Gen.G be so focused with their bans on Warriors, and that may just continue into Game 2. We're going to have that Game 2 right after a word from our sponsors.
The 2018 HGC Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
So what now can Luna Meow look to do with this next game, this last game, versus a team that they look up to for trying to learn things from?
Ban Genji and then turn up the heat like no other. Honestly, that's the way I would have them approach this. Make sure they don't have a ton of mobility on the opposing team, because Gen.G has shown that if they have mobility, they will dissect you, they will pull you apart, and you feel like you can't do anything about it. So take away the Genji, and then try to find a kill comp. Screw macro. You're not going to win a macro game against this team.
I completely agree. I would just like to see them just embrace the China style here and just go aggressive, because you need to start just getting picks and try and snowball from there, gain an early advantage and run with it. Like you said, you're not going to out macro Genji at this stage.
I think you need something that gives you confidence, right? That's why I say go for a kill comp. You get those kill or two against good play like Rich or Reset, and you're like, we could do this. You might be lying to yourself, but you get that feeling for a second or two, right? And that's what this team needs. Give them something. And so draft yourself a composition that gives you that chance to be able to get get that feeling.
It's all about the mental game.
It's all about
right?
the mental
Just
game. It
Tell
really
yourself
is.
you could beat anybody, because you can if you play your cards right. And we are going to Infernal Shrine, so that should give some confidence as we take a look. This is the choice of Gen.G. They've chosen it once before. They haven't, this is their first time of picking one of the maps they've already picked. So far, they've kind of been picking and choosing here and there, not really showing too much of their priority, but they are going to take us to Infernal Shrines again. And this is a favored battleground of Luna Meow too. So this should be a place where they still feel comfortable, though it is a place where you can get out macroed.
Yeah, you certainly can. I mean, with you looking over to Luna Meow, they're going to be having first pick on this battleground, so maybe we get a Kerrigan that can float through the draft phase. Maybe Gen.G will leave that alone. That would be a nice, aggressive pickup for them.
We haven't seen that much Kerrigan in this tournament, actually. We had one game off stream. I believe we had one game on as well with the multiple reset against the multiple reset comp, sorry. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see. Would be cool to see here. It's a classic on the map. But for now, Luna Meow starting off with the Garrosh ban, perhaps wanting to return to their own old classic of the Diablo.
Oh yeah, they played Diablo already both times here. It will be the first pick if they can get it. It's a matter of can they get the other priority picks that they like here. Things like Deckard Cain they've played twice here. We saw a Jaina as well as a Phoenix, and then a Thrall too, which Gen.G got in the last one. Gen.G though, they also like Diablo. Of course, pretty much everyone likes Diablo on Infernal Shrines. That's a really good map for Diablo. Past that though, they played the White Mane Hammer composition versus Tempo Storm. So I'm wondering, I kind of wonder what kind of Gen.G we're going to get here. They know that they won very dominantly in the last one. So I want to know if they're going to start to have more fun or what.
There we go. Okay.
Not seeing that Diablo first pick, immediately into that Kerrigan over their Li Ming they've been liking, over the Deckard, over that Diablo, and immediately Gen.G, they're going to take the Deckard Cain. Do they want the Diablo as well? Not yet. Starting off with the Reyna, a hero who, if your reaction time is on point, can be the bane of a Kerrigan's existence. She tries to ravage in and just quick knockback with the penetrating shot.
I was slightly worried too that Gen.G might move into a Medivh pick too. Medivh has been up and available, and you've already seen in the past that Luna Meow is not ready to play against a Medivh. They freak out when portals are thrown around them, so I'm hoping that might maybe they expand. Also, because it's a natural way to handle a Kerrigan that's trying to come your way with the Force of Wills coming out. Nubrak and White Mane is coming out, so we are going full kill comp. Yes, this is what Luna Meow needs to do.
There's their White Mane. We know both the teams play. No Medivh for Gen.G for all of part 2, but we know Rich plays it, right?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of Medivh plays. So it is very possible the Leyline Seal to try to stop counter momentum, or Polybomb if they want to use that choice for a Kerrigan. He can be very frustrating to try to play against for a Kerrigan.
I mean, his Medivh highlight was the first time I ever saw Medivh and go, whoa, that character's busted. That was the first time, and I was like, okay, maybe Medivh is a little more crazy than we think. Jaina comes in for a ban here for Gen.G, and now we're looking over to Luna Meow to see what they're going to ban.
Gen.G still having the option to pick up a tank. Diablo against Luna Meow can now be a concern due to, once again, Nubrak. If he aggression is played into him, he can struggle if he doesn't have time to react. That's exactly what we see. Remove that consistent crowd control that can prevent Nubrak from getting his escape.
You guys seen the Tyrael here? Yeah, Tyrael and Yrel. So a lot of tankiness, a lot of cross-supporting with shields, with armor that should be able to help deal with that Kerrigan.
Kerrigan jumps in, hits her main heroic, immediately sanctification, everything gets shut down. It is a classic counter from way back when Kerrigan was last meta. Completely fine, love it.
Has anyone played? Trying to figure out what would maybe be able to stop that kind of a situation with the sanctification. I thought maybe like a Horrify, just when maybe it seems like they're starting to group. Yeah. But then again, that's ungrouping people when Kerrigan wants to go again, and Maelstrom when people are grouped up. So instead they'll get Blaze, and then back to Sergeant Hammer. How do you feel about Hammer with a Kerrigan?
It's control around the shrine, which means that Luna Meow is not going to be looking for the kills that I was kind of hoping for, especially with their 1 pick and their 2nd pick. Yeah. I actually like the line I thought you were going with the Gul'dan, because the Gul'dan gives you the corruption stacks. The Bell Flames immediately off of the Kerrigan combo if you're able to follow that up.
Sets her up for her rep.
Yeah. The perfect choice is I would love to have a Jaina, but obviously that was banned out. So some kind of mage, some kind of burst immediately afterwards. Heck, even a Greymane would have been nice here. But that final pick up there for Luna Meow makes me believe, okay, we think we can actually go toe-to-toe in controlling the shrine, and if they overstep, we have a chance to punish now.
I'm just fascinated with the braveness of playing Sergeant Hammer into Rich twice. But in this case, like you said, it is a lot of control. They do have the ability to use the bunker to try and maybe wait out the Sanctification once it's popped, but they need to bait it out without having to burn the Maelstrom, without having to burn the Scarlet Aegis, etc. They have got to be patient, and they've got to be controlling in these fights.
That's another good point. Sergeant Hammer naturally can kind of just sit in the back and kind of just do her own thing. So now you can focus all your attention for the rest of your teammates on top of that Kerrigan. Make sure that Whitemane steps up, gets off the Aegis you were mentioning, the bunker. That's actually a really good point there. So this Sergeant Hammer suddenly just becomes this, hey, you're back here doing things, let's focus on this 4-man.
Maybe able to get some sieging damage done from that more so too, to try to keep them in the macro game.
Yeah.
But I think that there's going to be problems with that Junkrat pick that just came in now, because Junkrat is so good, especially post 13, at being able to prep waves.
Yeah.
So even once you get a Punisher in one lane, then he's prepping another